Good evening, everyone. I expect that you're enjoying this beautiful evening. And I want to know if you have an idea that just would never leave you alone, gnawing at you, hoping that you're going to find the courage to jump for it. A quiet whisper that grew into a persistent voice telling you to build something, to create something, to take a leap into the unknown. That's where my story begins. My name is Brandi Jo Zirkelbach, and tonight I want to share a piece of that story with you. A story about the messy, challenging, and ultimately rewarding journey of starting a business. It's a story that I was honored to share in my chapter of the book, Living Well with Grit. It's not a story about a perfect plan, but the relentless optimism when you feel you have every reason to quit, and it was shaped through the power of connection. Before I ever thought of becoming an entrepreneur in the real estate business, my life was fueled by excess, misguided energy, if you may. 20 years in the client care, hospitality, and bar business, I became completely unfulfilled, and I desired a lot more out of myself. I was familiar with my path, but I couldn't ignore the problem that I saw. I noticed that I missed my brain, I missed my athlete, and I missed my femininity. When you're constantly pouring into others, working 2 and 3 jobs, long days and nights, countless years of sacrificing weekends and holidays with your children, I kept thinking that it's time I should really do something about this, right? And my aha moment wasn't a lightning strike. It was more of a slow burn. It came when I was pregnant with my son at 30 years old, and I knew no matter how hard I tried, I was destined to be in yet another failed relationship. After returning to work from one of 2 far too short maternity leaves, I knew that this was not what I wanted for myself or for my kids anymore. That's when I thought that you've got to figure this out. That thought finally became, I'm going to change my course altogether. So with a healthy dose of naivete and a spark of an idea, I decided to start, all right? My initial vision was simply to begin forming relationships with other entrepreneurs to gain knowledge of their ups and downs, begin building an SOI, and enter into real estate school. So basically, I just ran around town and asked everyone I knew that had done it before me how they got there, what were their fails, how they failed forward, right? What were their most rewarding pieces of their journey. I had no idea what was coming, but I knew I really just had to try. The early days were humbling, to put it nicely. Every new entrepreneur dreams of a smooth launch and immediate success, and my reality was a series of closed doors, technical glitches, and people politely telling me that my drive was delusional. You can't just build it from scratch, Brandi. You're not even originally from St. Louis, right? That's a thing here. I didn't know. There was one moment in particular that almost broke me, okay? I don't know if anybody has looked at me lately, but breaking me is not an easy thing. It took me multiple tries to pass that real estate exam. I had to retake the courses. I remember sitting there feeling the weight of that failure and thinking they were right. I am not ready for this. That's where the idea of grit becomes real. It's not a buzzword, y'all. It's a survival tool. Growth came first. It was the courage to walk away from a career no one thought I could rise above. It was the choice to invest in my own health, savings, and education when no one else would. The ability to keep going regardless of the adversity and sleepless nights that I was facing. Just to give you a little insight before I move on, sleepless nights was working until 4:30 or 6:30 in the morning at my 3rd job and somehow getting the kids to school on time. That lasted for years. I didn't expect that. Then came resilience. After that major setback, I had to bounce back, right? Like, passed the test already. I gave myself 24 hours to feel sorry. I sat down and I analyzed every single thing. Where were the gaps I needed to fill? How could I get to the next part of the exam? And the failure became my most valuable lesson. It taught me that perseverance I harbored was a gift and not a lesson. I knew that I hadn't come this far just to get this far. Have you guys ever felt that way before? Now comes the intention. The intention was about refusing to be a victim of circumstance. And when I didn't have an opportunity, I had to create it through building new relationships and connecting with people. That had been successful for me. I started to frequent small businesses and talking to the owners. I'd spark up conversations, local contractors, attorneys, hairstylists, supplement stores, gyms, farmers markets, anywhere I could get in front of people that were already there, places that I didn't have to create on my own. And I learned to take that skill set I had from the service industry and apply it into networking and making connections on a professional level. My target was to find anyone that wanted to tell me about how they got there and if there was a way I could add value to their journey. I became a student of connections. And finally, tenacity. This was the sheer, stubborn refusal to quit. It was the late nights, the early mornings, the unwavering belief, that initial vision. Even when my confidence was shot, I whispered to myself, just one more day, girl. Let's see what happens tomorrow. The change didn't happen overnight. It was slow and a gradual shift. The turning point for me was when an investor met me at his favorite bar and said, if you do the research, I'll close the deals. A first sale was born, and let me tell you, it taught me exactly what to look for in a client and exactly what to stay away from. I had officially entered into the school of hard knocks in real estate, and I was ecstatic. Oh, man. I had officially entered there, and I got a positive review from his buddies around that island, and it was enough to hear the buzzing of my name. That was so cool. I knew I was sure to make waves if I could just stick it out. And it was proof, it was a sign that tenacity was paying off and that the idea I couldn't let go of all that time ago was actually starting to have its place in this world. My story, the one I tell on page 120 of Living Well with Grit, isn't unique because I face challenges. Everyone faces challenges. It's a story about what you do when you meet that resistance. That is your power of connections. Do you remember that voice I mentioned in the beginning? The one that whispers for you to build something new or take a chance. It's not asking you to be perfect. It's not asking you to have all the answers. It's just asking you to have the grit to start. Thanks.